This is TWiT.
You ordered the 11-inch.
I did order the 11-inch
Has
iPad
it come
Pro.
yet?
It is here, and I have left it in the box so we can do a live unboxing.
Why don't we do an unboxing?
The internet loves it when people take things out of boxes.
That's the strangest thing. Do we still love that? Is that still?
I don't know.
We're going to do it anyway.
I think the ASMR people still do.
Well, it'll provide
whispers
for those enjoying the video version. It'll provide interesting video for our discussion of the iPad Pro.
Yeah, I think we're just going to watch him as we talk.
Yeah, you talk. I'll unbox.
So that's the keyboard.
And this is what's interesting. Let me do the keyboard first, and then I'll explain what's interesting. So this has that standard. By the way, if you're noticing, I'm getting used to some stuff that's in my mouth.
Did you get braces? You got Invisalign, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
So it'll take some time, but then I will not sound as weird as I do today.
No more bucktooth Charlie, huh?
Exactly.
No, you had great teeth.
Thank you.
Some orthodontist
crowding,
convinced you that you someday would regret not doing it now.
You know, my great-grandpa, who had no teeth by the time he passed away.
His name was Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, who had no teeth by the time he passed away, who I was told part of the reason why he went when he did was because he wasn't eating greens and other roughage. So, just trying to make sure they're all where they need to be. Anyway, there's that distraction, and now you all are listening even closer to how I sound. This is great. So anyway, what we're going to do is unbox this. And this is what I was saying. This is Apple's standard packaging. I was prepared for this. I can pull the tab. And I can get right into.
And then you got a box within a box.
A box within a box.
But that's good. I hate it.
It's almost all paper now.
Yes. And in fact, we don't have any plastic shrink wrap over the top. We've got some more pull tabs, so we can pull the tabs.
They're very environmentally conscious these days.
Mother Nature.
This is the new keyboard that is mostly metal, it looks like.
Well, it's still got the rubber outside, but the interior, it's got that aluminum piece on it, and so the keyboard is much more like using a MacBook Air.
Function keys and haptic feedback.
And the 13-inch Pro, I got on my kitchen scale last week. The 13-inch Pro with the smart keyboard or the Magic Keyboard on it is within 20 grams of the MacBook Air in weight.
Oh, isn't that
really?
So it will give you and then the 11 is going to be even lighter.
And there's no click to this because it's haptic.
Yeah,
so once it gets powered, then it will do a click.
Yep.
It is okay. I see what you're saying. It's rubbery on the outside.
Yeah, it's a little darker. The black is not really black, but it's a darker gray than the old one. If you've got like Leo's, I'm pretty sure it's a little bit darker. But
I can tell you that's actually why I brought this in. Partly to say goodbye to the old. This is an M1. This is 2 generations ago.
That's the one I have at home.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a reason to upgrade. I still don't, frankly. So there's the color gray.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is a little bit darker.
A little bit darker.
And
then the rubber outside I think is a little bit darker too. But
this is lighter.
It's because they went from space gray to space black.
I like black.
It's nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not want to go with the other one. I do love that it has a function row now. That's awesome.
Huge.
I think that does.
This really makes it a laptop ergonomically.
Yeah, I mean, adding the haptic trackpad and adding the function row really makes it feel even more.
Like an Air.
Like I said, and the weight. I've been using this for the last 6 days, and as my primary for almost everything instead of a Mac, and I have an M2 MacBook Air at home, right? So it's very similar, right? The keyboard's similar, the trackpad's similar, the weight is similar, the OS is totally different, but like in a lot of ways ergonomically, it's basically a laptop when it's in this, and then of course you pop it off and it's not anymore.
Now here's something that surprised me. I'm going to open up this box, which is kind of
John's here with his boxes.
Let's show John's, because John's this is the iPad and this is the Apple Pencil,
and you got the 13-inch.
2 boxes, right?
Yeah.
And look, it's got that standard Apple wrapper with the little pull tab, and same thing here. Now
this is not what yours looked like.
Mine came in 1 box, right? And check this out. This seems very un-Apple-y to me.
It's got wrap. Oh,
it's got
craft paper.
Well, and they're not going to use plastic bubble wrap.
The
anymore.
iPad's just in there moving around.
That is odd.
I just thought I was going to come in one of these nice little.
Mine is, as far as I can tell, 3 separate shipments. So you just somehow you got maybe this is the.
Oh, there you go. It's maybe the Apple Pencil's the package material.
Yeah, exactly. They're using that as stuffing.
Peanuts.
It's a multitasker.
So
how flexible are these tools that Apple makes? God bless them.
Let's do this next. So we've got the nice pull tab on the back again. We can pull and peel. I did not get anything engraved.
I did. Do you remember that my last pencil, which I have right here, says Dream Boy? Do you remember that?
No.
Maybe it wasn't you. It wasn't me,
because that's funny.
Yeah, Dream Boy.
Seems like something Christina Warren would.
I think maybe Megan told me to get Dream Boy.
Oh, Dream, Boy. See, that makes all the difference.
Isn't it nice that Apple allows you to etch things on your Apple devices for free? They do that so you can't resell them.
But you can return them, which is interesting. They have a de-etching, apparently.
Nice.
This really isn't etched. It's just
a Dremel.
So you didn't get anything anymore. You didn't get any personalization?
Yeah, I did. It says Pencil Pro.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very personal.
I am also a Pencil Pro. I chose that as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Pencil buddies.
Woo! I will probably put a not D brand. I don't like D
You're
brand.
You're gonna put skin on all
slick
this?
wrap skin on there.
Huh. What are you gonna do? What kind?
I will probably get one to match.
Because you got a vintage Macintosh, like an LC or something.
Yeah, and I like the little vents on the side.
That's hysterical.
So I'll probably get something to match that. All right, let's get to the big thing and hope that it's in here since it came in that weird
By the way,
box.
I didn't know this, but if you look at it, it says Pro.
Okay, let me do it that way. There we go.
I don't like that art at all.
I
think it's
terrible.
I think it's a huge mistake.
Once you see Pro, it looks horrible.
I get supplied imagery from Apple, and I try to use it because they take better pictures than me. But boy, I couldn't use anything with those images on it.
What do you think this is?
Really ugly.
It's like representing
liquid metal.
Liquid metal, you think?
The Terminator 2.
It's a system of tubes.
Abyss. It's the Abyss.
All right, here we go. And Ellen, by the way, look at me with my measly 512 gigabyte iPad.
Which means, because it's 512, the two lower storage configurations,
Jammer B.
we think of them as storage configurations, but they're not storage anymore. They're storage and memory
and bin chip
and CPU.
Yeah,
it's all included.
Yeah, because you get you lose one performance core and
double the memory, double the RAM.
That's why they put it in that box,
and only 8 gigs of RAM instead of 16.
The performance core came out in shipping.
Yeah,
it just fell out.
So John. Before he knew that, bought a 512 gig Pro, and then he was going to return it, and he's decided not to because everybody told him you'll never see the difference.
It's probably true, but people who know that they need them to maximize, especially RAM. Honestly, I think the RAM matters more than anything else because
16 gigs versus
8 means
100%.
You can keep so much more. It means that your Safari tabs are not going to refresh. It means you're not going to open that app thinking it's going to spring back to life and discover that it has to reload.
Unboxing while Jason's
all of those things are are possible with more RAM.
If you're going to keep this for 4, 5, 6 years, that means that features that you might get sorted out of in the next 3, 4, 5 versions of iOS, that means you'll be able to actually access them.
And a lot of those AI features are RAM hungry, forthcoming AI features. So having 16 gigs of RAM is not a bad idea. If you can afford it.
On-device thickness to my old. God, I really want to get rid of that.
That's the 11, right? But yeah.
Yeah, this isn't even as thin as it can get.
So Jason made an interesting point because Apple touted this 5.1 millimeter thick iPad Pro as the thinnest product they've ever made. That's not true.
Well, I think of a product, right? Sure, the Apple Card. I think it is thinner. I think it's thinner than my Apple TV remote.
Is it thinner than the remote?
I think it is. That was pretty chunky. Maybe the old Apple TV, the old stereo remote.
Jason, you've had this for a while.
Yeah.
How is this OLED screen? How does it look?
I think it's really good. I saw somebody who said they watched something on Netflix. I forget what site that was, and that they felt it did some weird things. That sounded like a software decoding of HDR problem to me. But I've looked at it and it's gorgeous, and it doesn't do. I'm coming from the 12.9, which itself was, well, if we're going to check thickness, we got to try it over here.
Yeah, it's slightly thicker even than this one.
The 12.9. Oh yeah, okay. So this is thicker too. Yeah, it is. So
my God, we're testing but that's an old Apple remote.
Yeah, I think that's thinner than the new one. The new one's chunkier than that.
Well, so it is the thinnest product they've ever made.
The old 12.9 inch iPad Pro had the mini LED backlighting. So it was the best iPad Pro screen. It was just on the large model.
And full array local dimming. They had thousands.
There were about 2,500, I think, local
LEDs.
dimming zones. But 2,500 local dimming zones is not every single pixel like an OLED.
But on a screen that size, it's a pretty good.
It's pretty good. But people could see blooming, and I absolutely could. And in sci-fi stuff where you've got space fields, and you end up with a little rectangle of the starship that's moving along through the blackness.
So
that's all gone.
just
an
to
OLED.
explain, up to now, they've been LCDs,
Yes.
which have backlights. They might say LED, but they're really LED backlights
Yeah, exactly.
of an LCD screen. These OLED screens are direct view. They're emissive pixels. And so there's no local dimming because it's all pixel by pixel.
Exactly. Or I guess dual pixel by dual pixel, since this is the tandem OLED.
That's
so
actually, I saw a great YouTube video, which I'll point people to, that explained that tandem is not something Apple made up. I thought it was.
Is that Quinn Nelson's?
Yeah, Quinn did a great job on explaining this is a standard within OLEDs to make them brighter. There are potential issues because of the gap between the two screens. There's potential refraction going on inside. Apple has made them pretty close, and I think that you're not seeing that, right?
I'm not saying that. In fact, I think, Quinn's point was that this is a thing that's been known, but like it's hard to do. And Apple, it sounds very Apple, right? Apple's like, no, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll engineer that one.
But that's how you get 1,000 nits peak brightness.
Yeah, well, and what is it, 1,600, 1,400?
For HDR.
For HDR. So it is, and in fact, they've tweaked some things in the UI. I have noticed that every now and then, it's a little more high dynamic range than it used to be, where there'll be an item that'll be sort of like in the foreground in Stage Manager and it'll be lit up a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing there. You're taking advantage of that extra dynamic range you've got on the tandem OLED.
This is the Snazzy Labs video. What nobody else told you about tandem OLED and M4. And this is really the tandem. The other thing we were talking about, of course, is that the two different M4s, the breakpoint is 1 terabyte storage, and then you'll get all 4. Is that right? 4 efficiency cores?
4 performance cores.
4 performance cores.
There are 6 efficiency cores. This is one of the big things. So this will be in all of our Macs over the next year, but the M4 has 2 more CPU cores than the M3 did, and they're both efficiency cores, which are not weak cores. They're pretty powerful, but they are not the full speed. They're designed to sip the power from your battery-operated devices. So they've got 6 of those now, and then there are 4. But if you're using the binned model, the 2 lower-end models, you only get 3 of the super high-test fast cores.
So that's the big difference.
And then 10 GPU cores on all.
On all of them. In fact, the GPU of the M4, even Apple says, is basically the same as the GPU on the M3.
Right, which on the iPad, they never got the M3, so they didn't get all of the things that they added in the M3, all of the dynamic hardware, sort of ray tracing and shading and things that are there that weren't there before. Right. The CPU also sounds like it is a mild update from the M3. Look, I mean, I'm sure you talked about it last week. A lot of what is happening here is happening because they changed their chip process at Taiwan Semiconductor, which makes the chips for Apple. And so they had to make a new chip in order to get off of the one process that they did for one generation. So, but Apple, when they do new chips these days, they update parts of it and leave other parts alone. So like you might have a generation where the GPU is basically the same, but the CPU is updated. And so in this, they added cores, and what they told me that I think is interesting is even though they've got the neural engine on there, and even though there's also a lot of AI stuff that runs on GPUs, there is some AI stuff that is lightweight enough that it's not worth farming it out. You just want to run it on the CPU and get it over with. And so they added the one big addition to the CPU cores in M4 is this ability to run AI tasks more efficiently on CPU. So they found a way, like in the spectrum of AI tasks, there were some that were simple enough that there was no point in using the neural engine or the GPU. They just needed to be more efficiently run on CPU, and they made that tweak. But it's small stuff, but it's still, I did the test, this is still another generational, 15% speed increase over M3.
That's noticeable.
Yeah.
And there's another reason for this. The new node is cheaper. So Apple can get these chips in greater quantity at a lower price.
Cheaper, more efficient.
Yeah.
The reports said that Taiwan Semiconductor was basically eating the cost of every failed chip on the old process. And that's why they said, hey, everybody, new process.
Right.
We're not doing this anymore. Exactly right.
Which is why you're seeing a binned chip in the iPad, because now Apple's eating the cost.
They're taking the flawed chips and they can use
them.
They
don't want to throw them out.
For a lower cost, but they can take them and reuse them.
So it sounds like, and this seems to be the consensus that they're not going to make any more M3 devices at all.
I think it's over. Yeah, I think
Isn't
they want to
wild?
get. I think they want to get off of it as soon as possible. It actually makes sense why Mark Gurman reported that everything would be turning over to M4 and sooner than you might think.
Like this year,
is that they are going to try to get everything off of the old 3 nanometer process that was a dead end, because they thought when they did that, TSMC thought that was going to be the future, and then as they started to put it into practice, they realized we can't do this. It's not tenable. We need a new system. And that was a big, I mean, they had to probably go to Apple and have a really awkward conversation saying, I know you're our best customer and you bought all of our stock of this thing, but this one's not going to work. We need you to quickly redesign, because you can't just port it to the new process. It had to be a complete redesign for the new process, because it's that different. And so clearly TSMC went to Apple and was like, yeah, that M4, bring it on fast. We need to get you on our new process. So here we are.
Hey, it's Leo Laporte. If you enjoyed this little snippet of our programming, make sure you check out the full MacBreak Weekly. The link is right down there.